de Breaking News nous propose le scandale du côté donc de Tchang. Bienvenue au 20h. Paul Biya prend donc encore un 8e mandat. Ça frappe fort.
Qu'est-ce qui va donc se passer en Afrique? Comme avec vous, Madame Enos. Rebonsoir à tous et bienvenue pour cette
3, 2, 1, go!
Ok, c'est bon. Portraying on social media tells me if everyone from the Tika land united will have our freedom. When people are one, they can't be defeated. But we always have individuals among us with divided energy. Let's keep listening. You think Paul Biya don't know how to speak English? You believe so? His refusal to speak English is deliberate. And you will see that coming from Issa Churuma after he wins this election. I mean, what are we really talking about here? We travel around the world and see what is happening. Do you really believe that a francophone will ever bring sustainable transformation in your life? My people from the Tika land, America speaks English. Look at the development from Google, Facebook, YouTube, iPhone, the internet. These people have a heritage that comes from France. What kind of development will these individuals ever bring? Why will you choose to deliberately subject yourself under this kind of scrutiny? Why? Look at the countries colonized by France today. All the devices and the countries you will choose to travel to speak English. You go into those nations, come out and support a francophone system in Cameroon that has killed thousands of your people. And we want to pray and have the blessings of God. No, that is karma. Our ancestors are slowly detaching themselves from us. Israel was out like this for 2,000 years. 430 in Egypt. 70 during the Babylonian exile.
Our two governments have signed an agreement on the reciprocal protection of investments, which will certainly encourage them. Assistance from the American government has been of great help to us, particularly in the fields of agriculture, education, and health. We do appreciate the contribution of the United States to our social life and hope that the number of cultural exchange programs will increase. Since our foreign policy is based on international cooperation, we count very much on the United States. Our relations are characterized.
That is President Reagan. Do you know when that man was president? He's dead and gone. Paul Biya could speak and read in English before the President of the United States of America. So before you say, oh, no, it's a deliberate attempt, because it is difficult. Do you understand? That translation back and forth is difficult. To manage a post-colonial country like ours. Thank God our ancestors did not ratify this union. We have an opportunity right now to reclaim our sovereignty, restore our nation, and build a country that we can be proud of. Your inability to cooperate is hindering the progress of everyone here. Whether it is in your quiet time that you think that way, is affecting the progress of the Tika people. Now, when he came to Bamenda to receive the Fund of Funds title, He spoke in English. Again, it is difficult to manage a country like this. So the goal is that how can we eradicate this English so that the country can be all one speaking French? Of which, if you look at the economic value of French, it doesn't make sense that we adopt French and then we drop English. There are about 200 million Chinese people as we speak right now learning English so that they can do business with the rest of the world. English is the diplomatic and is formed through shared ancestry and history, common language and culture, mutual values and moral vision, consent to govern each other. Without this, a nation doesn't exist. So she has clearly outlined, and that validates our research work, our studies, and what we put on this platform for free so that you can get your act together and bring about change. The energy I see in Anglophones today, I'm shocked that they could go to this extent because they were passive. They are not part of politics. Politics doesn't concern us. I'm shocked to see people who thought, oh, this is the direction we are going, we don't care about politics. Now they are getting involved. Not only are they getting involved, they are shaping the minds of the people into what they have always thought of. You get it? God cannot bless ignorance. Never. But let's listen to this sister.
Teona, Issa Chiroma Bakari is nowhere to be found. I'm broken, guys. I tell una. Now the video this one I take I watch and because I don't tire yourself. Which kind of news video one woman the year? So the people when I want take war for Cameroon, no. See a Muslim they are war Muslim they are war Anglophone crisis the joke now joke. No.
Muslims have a different way of saying things. Anglophone is joking. You see what she just did through what she said. These are instinctive. These are instincts. You can hear, she knows this is something that concerns the Northeast. In America, for example, when there is an issue, you hear the Democrats versus the Republicans. At least these are groups that represent two core ideologies, predominantly that govern this country. It's not color of the skin. These are groups that represent an idea. That is why it is a country. And that is why we have European spheres of influence. We have jurisdictions. We don't yet have countries in Africa. Do you understand? We don't yet have countries in Africa. The same borders that were shaped during the Berlin Conference to administer the people here for the extraction of raw materials still stands. The white man has gone. We just have a black face maintaining the same system. And whether Issa Chiroma becomes president, it is the same thing. You get it? Now is the Northeast. Even the people are saying it. That now it's not a war of... The other people are just supporting the Northeast. Let me put it that way. So the rest of the nation is supporting the Northeast. Education and school. That's why you leave from school, you want a job. Because the Industrial Revolution created school to condition and program human beings to do their jobs in factories. Education brings out what was already in you. That is why I said 70 to 80% of what makes you a leader, you come into this world with it. School only harnesses what is inside. If you don't have it, you don't have it. Whatever skills, it might be engineering. School now goes and studies what has worked, and then they raise professors to teach what has worked. That is why none of your physics teachers have been able to create airplanes, even propellers. They haven't done that. When they go study, those who have created airplanes, now they come over and teach you so that you can go maintain that system. That is why all your chemistry teachers, your historians, they know the history of this country, but they cannot solve the problems in this country. After the problems have been solved, they will go study that, package it. Somebody go learns how to teach that. They become historians. Because some came here and told me, oh, what do we have great scholars in the community? No. What you are seeing here, this is civilizational thinking. Less than 1% of people on planet Earth possess civilizational intelligence. I say this with all humility. It's a great thing that we take advantage of everything that I'm putting out here, unite and make progress together. Civilizational intelligence. There is analytical intelligence, emotional intelligence. This is civilizational intelligence. To look at our migration journey from Sudan to Bam to the Tika, Bamenda Highlands, how we've evolved over time, and our culture and our traditions and ways of life is still intact to tell us how distinct we are, and to make sense of that, benchmark it with Rome and the collapse of Rome and how the states in Europe or the countries in Europe were formed, Israel and how that nation was formed, China and the thousands of years they have existed. To take all of that to solve one problem here, I've not seen in Africa. With all humility, this is civilizational intelligence, showing you how we can build a country based on our common ancestry while adapting to technology, modernity, and modern institutions. This is civilizational intelligence, because if I don't explain to you what I'm doing here, you think this is content creation. This is education, depositing into your soul knowledge that gets you think and bring something out of you, not programming you to go get a job. My MBA is in finance. Went through the whole program. There was never a class that I was taught on how to become an entrepreneur. Everything was preparing you to become an investment banker, to go work in a bank, or go serve someone else, go work in an insurance company. Everything was programming me to become an employee. They don't teach this in school. This is invention, creativity. Just about 10 to 15 people on planet Earth possess analytical skills. 10. Less than 1% possess what we call civilizational intelligence. 1 to 2% possess creative skills. Just the average creation that we see. Do you understand? If you don't educate people on what is going on here, you think you just jumped on some other bandwagon of creativity. Go look around and see the people that are talking about whatever is going on in your country. You will know the difference. If you cannot tell the difference, that shows how long it will take even you to catch up. But the good news is, the people in the West, they don't have to break their back to discover everything. That is the power of leverage. That one good one among them comes up with a good idea, they all rally behind that idea. The whole community gets blessed. You don't have to be an inventor or King Kong. You must not do everything by yourself. That is good news. Do you understand? I throw in my all into this. Spend time even with our ancestors to understand what is happening with us and how far we have come as a people, so that we can make progress, so that the mother in the village can be able to farm their vegetables and have a good road to go sell that vegetable, so that we can have good drinking water in our community. That is why I do what I do here. So that our children will not only go to school, but receive education that brings out skills and creativity in them to build a modern society. So that we can be respected globally. That is why I do what I do here. If you see this as clickbait for you, it tells me how far you have. But if you follow you will be saved, and your family and your children's children will be saved. If not, we have another 500 years to go through pain. Let's keep listening.
On ne sait plus maintenant là où on l'a amené. Voilà la population en furie. On cherche. Vu la couleur jaune, toute la capitale.
For those who say they are happy at least that Issa Chiroma speaks English, Paul Biya speaks English. They will speak English to bring you into the net. Once you are in the net, they will bring back the French system. Paul Biya speaks English. This is an audio a couple of years ago of Issa Chiroma and Chris Ano. You will hear when Issa Chiroma Bakari picked up the phone, immediately what he did. Let's take a listen.
Hello. Hello, Mr. Chiroma. Good morning, sir. This is Chris Ano with the Cameroon Journal.
Chris, vous ne pouvez pas parler en français? Vous êtes Camerounais, non?
Well, Mr. Minister, you know I don't understand French. I know very little of French. I know you.
If you listen to that audio to the end, he goes on to speak in English. But when he picked up the phone, the man introduced himself. Immediately he responded in French. When you have a short-term memory like that of a goldfish, you forget easily and they capture you again. Just put corn around, the chicken always comes. Throw corn every time, the chicken will come in. But you can't trick an eagle like that. You can't trick an eagle with corn, but you will trick a chicken every time. It will come to eat the corn and end up in that trap. Short-term memory. You can't trick the Jews because they have 5,000 years of their history. When you manifest with a script, they know their history. They know all their neighbors around that area. And this is where I want us to be. This is the kind of country I want us to build. That we are respected among men. That the next time a francophone, of which we are more enlightened than them, if you want to think about it in that sense. But somehow, some from among us will always take the corn. And when they take the corn, it makes all of us look bad. That has been our story again and again and again. When Aijo came, play the same game. When Paul Biya came, play the same game. When he's coming to Bamenda to get the funds of funds, he throws the English around. That is the corn. The people come in. The chiefs, everybody come in.
I'm calling you because of what is...
Mr. Chris, I am sorry. When I make a statement, it is on behalf of the government. On behalf of the government. So when you raise such an issue for which I don't have at all the proof of your statement, no American...
He can't speak English. But when he picked up the phone, you are a Cameroonian, come on. No, these are public servants. In their capacity, they should be able to speak English and French. If they want to serve the people in a bilingual country, they should be able to speak English and French. But he picks up the phone, the first thing is, Cameroon is bilingual. You are the one to speak English and French. He, the servant, is not supposed to learn, understand how to speak English and French. That is why they throw it around. Oh my God, I'm so happy. We will refuse to build a country that is all Anglophone, that we don't have to go through that route. And thank God that at least we have a Francophone president that speaks English. My question again is, this translation back and forth, how long do you think it's going to take us to develop in a post-colonial country that is bilingual? A nation is not a border. It is a people bound by consent and identity. A nation is a living community joined by shared ancestry and history, common language and culture, mutual values and moral vision, consent to govern each other. Without that, you don't have a nation. How long will this back and forth? And the good thing is we don't have any binding document with La Republic. So the problem is not really our people. It's the few ones among us that want to maintain the status quo. The problem is not La Republic, because the energy that I see everyone portraying on social media tells me if everyone from the Tika land united, will have our freedom. When people are one, they can't be defeated. But we always have individuals among us with divided energy. Let's keep listening. You think Paul Biya don't know how to speak English? You believe so? His refusal to speak English is deliberate. And you will see that coming from Issa Chiroma after he wins this election. I mean, what are we really talking about here? We travel around the world and see what is happening. Do you really believe that a francophone will ever bring sustainable transformation in your life? My people from the Tika land, America speaks English. Look at the development from Google, Facebook, YouTube, iPhone, the internet. These people have a heritage that comes from France. What kind of development will these individuals ever bring? Why will you choose to deliberately subject yourself under this kind of scrutiny? Why? Look at the countries colonized by France today. All the devices and the countries you will choose to travel to speak English. You go into those nations, come out and support a francophone system in Cameroon that has killed thousands of your people. And we want to pray and have the blessings of God. No, that is karma. Our ancestors are slowly detaching themselves from us. Israel was out like this for 2,000 years. 430 in Egypt. 70 during the Babylonian exile.
Our two governments have signed an agreement on the reciprocal protection of investments, which will certainly encourage them. Assistance from the American government has been of great help to us, particularly in the fields of agriculture, education, and health. We do appreciate the contribution of the United States to our social life and hope that the number of cultural exchange programs will increase. Since our foreign policy is based on international cooperation, we count very much on the United States. Our relations are characterized.
That is President Reagan. Do you know when that man was president? He's dead and gone. Paul Biya could speak and read in English before the President of the United States of America. So before you say, oh, no, it's a deliberate attempt, because it is difficult. Do you understand? That translation back and forth is difficult. To manage a post-colonial country like ours. Thank God our ancestors did not ratify this union. We have an opportunity right now to reclaim our sovereignty, restore our nation, and build a country that we can be proud of. Your inability to cooperate is hindering the progress of everyone here. Whether it is in your quiet time that you think that way, is affecting the progress of the Tika people. Now, when he came to Bamenda to receive the Font of Funds title, he spoke in English. Again, it is difficult to manage a country like this. So the goal is that how can we eradicate this English so that the country can be all one speaking French? Of which, if you look at the economic value of French, it doesn't make sense that we adopt French and then we drop English. There are about 200 million Chinese people as we speak right now learning English so that they can do business with the rest of the world. English is the diplomatic and business language of the world. It will be difficult for all of them to learn English, and they are coming from a descendant of individuals that love to dominate. That is the French culture. When you know you can't even manage, you can lead, what you have is inferior. English, by global standard today, is superior. So when you go to participate in this system, I mean, sit back and ask yourself the question, what are you doing? Because at the end of the day, the only way this country will work is to eradicate this English, and they have French, as long as we are part of this system. Whether it is now or in the next 200 years. Or we slowly move away from this system. Build an all-English speaking country. And then they go on with their French. They will have peace. We will have peace. And we can go on to trade and do business with each other. The problem is not these people holding us. The problem is us from within and our inability to cooperate, even when we see the truth about our story. And then we want God's blessings. We want our ancestors' blessings. It's like saying the children of Israel, just stay in Egypt and pray hard that at least Pharaoh someday speaks in a language that you understand. And he throws that out during elections, and then we come in. And then now they bring out the French card. We are about to get into another 500 years. That will be worse than the previous 553 years that we have been in pain. I'm sure it's all this confusion that we had that brought pain upon our land. That our ancestors were captured as slaves and sold because of individuals within that community that don't understand that your actions and your behavior affects the entire community. And they went on to participate with outsiders. They went on to engage with outsiders, which brought pain upon our land. The same thing has happened during colonialism, and it still continues today. And we go to the schools and come out and think we are different and we are enlightened and what we are doing is something new. No, it has happened again and again and again with us.
Your Excellency, we wish you the best. Go in for the elections of next year. All the funds are behind operational funds. Okay, Your Excellency, we thank you for the request.
As fond of funds, I warmly salute the traditional rulers of the Northwest region.
Is that not Paul Biya speaking English? You guys find another story to deceive and put your people in bondage. Just justify your actions through your inability to cooperate and work in the community. Don't talk about English as the reason why you're doing what you're doing right now. But again, I've said the God of the Tika is awake, and the consequences of this behavior are building. when the misfortune happen, don't say, God, why have you forsaken me? Because they will not allow us to continue to wallow in ignorance. Let's listen to Foncha again. This is our predecessor. This is at least when it comes to the Anglophone story. We've defined ourselves through the Berlin Conference and colonialism. So we've forgotten about our Tika heritage. Today we hear it, it sounds like something strange to us, right? So let's listen to the architect of the so-called federal system or unification that was never ratified.
We were dealing only with an interim federal government or an interim members of the house which we subscribe, but there was no parliament so called before the 1st of October. And if he uses that one to talk something about the federation to be born on the 1st of October, and to the best of my knowledge, it did not appear to me that that was going to precede the legalization of the draft constitution. So the very August, I had to go back to him and remind him about the resumed constitution. When he did not answer me in September, I reminded him, but unfortunately on 1st of October, I used the draft to declare federation and unification.
So by default, legally you are not a Cameroonian, Tika people. And again, we come from a culture that we understand that life is a continuation. We are a continuation of those who came before us. And even if you come from a lineage of those who betrayed us, break that generational curse. Even if you come from families that have this tendency of greed, mediocrity, just go with the flow. Break that generational curse. Discipline yourself and say, I won't cooperate with individuals that treat my people this way. Break it. That behavior is not original, it's not authentic. Again, I shared with you, this is a book that I wrote, The Cameroon Dream. This is a book that I wrote with the same idea and philosophy of one Cameroon that we all grew up in. But the totality of our history and the effects of what has happened with us over time, not only that, understanding our lineage and these points that I've outlined with you here, that there is no way for a country to be born going the way we are going. There is no way for us to have a functioning country this way. What kind of future are you building for yourself and your children's children? This emotional, sentimental approach that we have towards a country that we call our own. If you are a citizen, be actively involved. Without a shared ancestry and history, I mean, do you have any shared ancestry and history with those in the southwest or those in Douala, in Yaoundé and the northeast? Do you have a shared ancestry? The answer is no. Do you have a common history? No. Common language and culture? No. Do you have mutual values and moral vision? No. Consent to govern together? No. What are you doing with your life? Again, I make these videos so that tomorrow, never complain about a system that you willfully went into, ignored wisdom, choose emotion and sentiment. Lee Kuan Yew took Singapore from a third world to a first world country. Not only because he was smart, but because the people were willing to cooperate and build that country. That is what Europeans do. When the Platos, the Aristotles, the George Washington, when they emerge, the people rally. And as they rally, we look at that entire group as smart people. The people that we choose to follow tells the world about who we are. It's not only that leader, but the people that are following that leader. That is the short code to national success and national perception.
We did not finish and must come back. So there things went wrong. And by the 64, he had already made up his mind, scattered the already more or less got into the main cadre of the KNDP and tried to scatter all and made some other laws which would make him the supreme president.
The same game, they threw a big party at Fumban, invited our leaders, promised them that everything was going to be fine, and they fell for it, right? He used a draft federal constitution, and he's coming from the same community Issa Chiroma is coming from. You see, if you play this kind of game in Israel or in the Middle East, and you show up before a Jew with this kind of game that things have changed, you can speak even their language, they are not confused. They know who they are. They know where they are going. You can't play this kind of game. Our behavior during this election really makes us categorized as third world. Third world thinking. It's short-term memory. Emotional reactions. You know why I do what I do here? Because I'm rooted in who we are. Regardless of who comes up with another game, if we don't have policies, I can engage in any charade, any parade that you come up with. If we don't have strict laws and principles that I know my people's destiny and future generations is preserved, brother, tell me you will take out Paul Biya. Tell me you become the next president. Speak English. Go up, come down. Paul Biya was before.
In a government that claims to uphold democracy, keep its citizens in suspense for 2 weeks after voting. What could be happening behind closed doors? Is this delay a strategy to rewrite the people's choice in favor of the ruling elite?
Protests have broken out in several Cameroonian cities as citizens await the official results of last Sunday's presidential election. Opposition candidate Issa Chiroma, who declared himself winner earlier this week, is reportedly hiding amid a heavy security presence in his stronghold. DW's Moki Edwin Kainzeka has the latest from Cameroon.
Demonstrations erupted in Douala, Bafoussam, Chang, Bangante and Kuseri near Cameroon's northern border with Chad. Local authorities report that public buildings, vehicles and homes were set ablaze. Government officials say offices of the electoral body Elecam were among the targets. Most protesters were young people accusing the government of manipulating vote counts to favor incumbent President Paul Biya. Security forces used tear gas and water cannons to disperse crowds. Opposition candidates claim more than 150 people were arrested in Douala, Chang, Kuseri, Bangante and Bafoussam. The unrest follows Issa Chiroma's self-declaration as winner of the October 12th presidential election, a move the government dismissed as illegal and misleading. The electoral process is expected to conclude by October 26. Authorities report no fatalities so far, but tensions remain high nationwide, prompting a massive security deployment.
The people of Cameroon are not just protesting an election. They are protesting decades of control, silence, and fear. According to reports, at least 11 formal petitions have been submitted to the legal authorities of Cameroon, alleging widespread rigging and corruption, favoring the incumbent, President Paul Biya.
The Constitutional Council of Cameroon has received 11 petitions challenging the results of the October 12 presidential election, Minima4Info reported. Among those who have filed complaints are presidential candidates Cabrali B, Joshua C, and Patricia Tomaino Ndamjoya. The petitions reportedly call for either a partial or total annulment of the election results, citing alleged irregularities, fraud, and ballot stuffing in several parts of the country. Observers note that some of the most serious allegations come from the Anglophone regions, where limited opposition oversight and ongoing security challenges made election monitoring difficult. The Constitutional Council is expected to review the complaints in the coming days before proclaiming the final results. The outcome of these deliberations could play a crucial role in shaping public confidence in Cameroon's electoral process. Stay tuned as we keep you updated.
For a man who has ruled Cameroon for over 4 decades, is there any surprise that he is once again accused of manipulating the system to remain in power? How can a leader claim to serve the people yet ignore their cries for justice? Why does Paul Biya continue to cling to power when the nation is clearly demanding change? These petitions reflect a society that has had enough, a population no longer willing to accept the oppression of one man's endless rule. Instead of listening to the voices of the people, the government's response has been brutal. President Paul Biya has deployed military forces to restore order, but what kind of order comes from silencing innocent citizens? Soldiers have taken to the streets not to protect the people, but to suppress them.
In several cities, crowds gathered outside administrative offices, demanding that their votes be protected, insisting on transparency at the local level. Several people were arrested on Wednesday after clashes between residents and security forces in the economic capital Douala and the western city of Chang following allegations of ballot manipulation by election officials. The unrest adds to growing frustration over the slow release of presidential results. Critics say the observer's praise risks being read as legitimizing an electoral process under strain. Cameroon's prolonged wait for results contrasts sharply with recent elections in neighboring countries. In Gabon, provisional 2025 election results were announced within a day. In Senegal, it took just 3 days for opposition candidate Bassirou Diomaye Faye to be confirmed the winner of the 2024 presidential elections. Cameroonians, by contrast, are still waiting nearly a week later, with many now questioning why they must wait so long.
As a young Cameroonian, all we just want is peace, according to the time it takes to compile and publish the results. For me, it would be better for the government to take fewer time to publish the results so as to push the Cameroonian out of the suspense that we are going through.
The world must ask, is this democracy or tyranny disguised as authority? When unarmed protesters are met with guns, when demands for justice are treated as crimes, can a country still call itself democratic? This is not leadership, it is cruelty. It is wickedness against the very citizens whose votes built the government's legitimacy. The situation in Dop, Ngokatunjia, and across the northwest region is especially disturbing. Witnesses report heavy military presence, intimidation, and threats against anyone who dares to speak about the opposition. Residents have been warned not to even mention the name Issa Chiroma, one of the leading opposition figures challenging the system. Imagine living in fear for uttering the name of a political opponent. Is this the Cameroon that citizens envisioned when they went to the polls? What kind of leadership silences the very essence of democracy, the right to free speech and political expression? In the Northwest, the deployment of military personnel has reached alarming levels. Entire communities are living under fear, with soldiers reportedly patrolling and threatening citizens. These are not scenes of governance. These are scenes of oppression. What could justify using the military against peaceful civilians who are simply demanding their rights? Is the government protecting democracy or burying it under the weight of its own insecurities? The more the military is used to silence the people, the clearer it becomes that this is no longer about national unity. It is about one man's obsession with control. Having lived through this crisis for the past 7 years, many Cameroonians are exhausted. They have seen the same tactics of suppression and fear play out repeatedly. Yet, the resilience of the people remains unbroken. Even in the face of intimidation, they continue to raise their voices. But how much longer can they endure this? How many more years of silence, fear, and injustice must they tolerate before real change arrives? President Paul Biya's government has built a culture of fear. But every day, more citizens are choosing courage over silence. The situation unfolding in Cameroon right now is not just a political dispute. It is a moral test for the nation and for the African continent as a whole. How can the world watch in silence as a government uses military power to crush the will of its citizens? What does it say about the future of democracy in Africa if such acts continue unchallenged? Cameroon stands at a dangerous crossroads, and the actions taken today will define its history for generations to come. Conclusion: Cameroon's crisis is not an isolated event. It is a reflection of the broader struggle for democracy across the continent. A struggle between the old and the new, between silence and truth, between tyranny and freedom. The people of Cameroon deserve transparency, justice, and leadership that listens, not one that silences. As we continue to monitor developments, we invite you, our viewers, to share your thoughts respectfully in the comments section below. Do you believe Cameroon can still rescue its democracy? Can a nation survive when its leaders turn against its citizens? Your opinions matter, and your voice can shape the global conversation. Engage with this video, like it, share it widely, and help the world see what is happening in Cameroon. Support AfriPlus News Channel by joining our channel membership or sending us a super thanks. It helps us continue to bring you fearless, independent analysis from across Africa. Disclaimer: this analysis is based on verified reports and eyewitness accounts available at the time of production. It is presented solely for informational and educational purposes, in full compliance with YouTube's community guidelines. AfriPlus News Channel does not promote violence, hatred, or misinformation of any kind. Viewers are encouraged to engage respectfully and seek peace, dialogue, and democratic solutions.
son apogée.
Nous sommes déjà presque arrivés à la fin de cette édition spéciale, l'une des chaînes sociopolitiques. Alors, bienvenue donc pour la prochaine.